to give you any scriptures, but it's Psalms 18:2 here in a minute. I'm not ready to pull it up quite yet. I titled the message this morning, The Lord Is. The Lord is. You know, have you ever noticed that kids know the dirt? Kids know the truth. You can sit there and say things, and you can believe things, and you can kind of try to sugarcoat it. And you know what? I think sometimes we even get to thinking, Brother Scott, that we get to thinking that we are a little more than what we really are. We'd like to believe we're a little more than what we really are. But you know, kids can be brutally honest, can't they? I have noticed that kids sometimes will bring up stuff and they'll go like, I'll give you for instance. My dad's in a bad mood. Now, you know, every once in a while that happens. But now every time you come across that kid, if every time they come up to you and they go, my dad's in a bad mood, sooner or later you start to go, that guy just must be a bad attitude guy. He's always in a bad mood. I don't even want to be around your dad. He's always in a bad mood. Mom's cranky today. Next day you run into the kid, Mom's cranky today. Next time you run into the kid, Mom's cranky today. Now, your mom's always cranky. It might not be a fact, but can I tell you this? To that child, it's a fact. Amen? That's who they see dad as. That's who they see mom as. You can have friends that you can sit there and how many of y'all got them? Maybe you're the friend, or maybe somebody else is your friend, and you think of them this way, but I'll let you put that shoe on. But every time you get around them, all they do is gripe and complain. None of y'all have friends like that? We call it at work, in the construction line, we call it being a whiner. Man, that guy whines more than anything I ever seen. I tell you what, you do enough of it at our job site, sooner or later they'll tell you, you want us to bring you a skirt tomorrow, sweetheart? You go cry like a little girl, we'll start bringing you some dresses and some pretty little skirts and things like that, and you can start wearing them to work. Oh, shut up. Well, you whine all the time. You're just a whiner. You see them coming, and what do you think? They're going to just start whining. Might not be a fact, but that's what they do. Can I tell you something? I want to read you something out of the book of Psalms, chapter 18, verse 2. I want you to read what David, this is how he felt about the Lord. Can you pull this up in the King James? I looked at this and I was like, you know, something is totally wrong about this. Thank you, sister. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. Now I want you to look at this scripture. First place, I want you to realize something. This is the Lord. Now look, how's it start off? The Lord is. Now if you were to ask David, Sister Sarah, if I was to ask David, who is the Lord? Well, the Lord is my rock. Now there's difference, I've looked it up, guess what? I studied this out, and guess what? There's a bunch of different philosophies on this. A lot of them think, you know, David, you know what? David was kind of prone, when Saul chased him, guess where he ran? To a cave. A hole in a rock. And while he was in that cave, he was safe. He lived, didn't he? Saul didn't kill him. He ended up making it out. He ended up living, and he'd go and hide in that cave. And so to David, some people believe that the rock that it speaks of here, a lot of theologians, they believe that the rock they're talking about here is because David believes that, you know, if you run into this cave, that's what God is to him. It's that place to hide. To be honest with you, when I first read it, the first thing I thought of was, before you can stand at all, before you want to get a house that's really going to stand forever, get a good foundation of it. And everything in the Old Testament, if you'll read every time, even when they built the temple, they built it on a rock. They built it on certain, they would build up the foundation. And this is the rock that the builders rejected. But God's going to build His house upon this rock. And that's who David, when he looks at, whether it's one way or the other, look, I want to show you something. Whatever it is, to David, when you say, David, who's the Lord? He says, the Lord is my rock. I want you to catch that. My rock. It's my rock. This is what I stand on, the Lord. When I feel scared, this is where I run. It's to my Lord. Okay? David, so who's the Lord? Well, He's my fortress. When things come against me, how many of y'all got stuff coming against you? I tell you what, if you ain't got stuff coming against you, you're not living in this world.
Amen.
You must hide out somewhere. You must hide in a rock somewhere. Because if you step out the door, you're going to be like Sister Jessica and Sister Tegan. Both had car problems this morning. Completely broke down. I don't know about you, but that sometimes you just feel like the whole world's coming in on you. And God, if you ask David, he'd say, you know what? The whole world did come in on me. But the Lord is my, look at there again, my fortress. This is where I go, man. When I get around the Lord, He's got my back, He's got my sides, He's got my front. He's my fortress. Look at it here. I love the next one. This is huge. Who's the Lord? He is my deliverer. I talked about in my class this morning about our testimony. And I think sometimes some of us, because we think maybe we've got maybe not as big a testimony, we got some ladies coming. I went to the recovery ranch. This man that we heard, he started smoking marijuana at 11 years old. Actually, I don't know if it was marijuana. It was meth. I don't know. Marijuana, maybe. Anyway, he started smoking dope. What he said, dope, I guess. At 11 years old. The time he was 12, he was shooting up. 12 years old. The time he was 34, he had OD'd 6 times. 6 times. He has problems remembering things because he's been without oxygen on his brain so many times when he would die for long periods of time, one time for about 15 minutes. Yeah. This guy's standing up there. And I know that some of us are going to go, I ain't got a testimony like that. I told my class, I said, my wife probably thinks she doesn't have a testimony. Because she's never drank. She's never done drugs. She just doesn't do that kind of stuff. She's never did. She's been in church most of her life. And I'm like, hello? That's a way greater testimony than mine. You can look at people and say, don't tell me you can't stay safe. And don't tell me that God can't keep you. You can always be saved. Kids, you don't have to be stupid like the rest of us. You can be smart like my wife and live your life knowing God forever. Raise your children up knowing that God has always been there for you and He will always be there for them. Now, that's a testimony. But every one of us have this testimony. And every one of us ought to be able to do like David. And I hope you can. Who is he, David? My deliverer. He saved me. Whether He saved you just from life, whether He saved you from drugs, whether the truth is He saved you from sin. All of sin and fallen short of the grace of God. As pretty and as sweet as my wife is, she goose up. She had to get saved. Amen? Amen. Every one of us have a deliverer. I want you to read on with me. My God. That was a big deal back then. You know that? To say my Lord is a big deal. You know what a Lord is? Well, we used to say it this way. Are you going to lord that over me forever? Somebody has something on you, they owe you something. Are you going to lord that over me? You know what that means to say Lord? It means they rule you. David says, listen, He is my Lord. I'm King David, but I choose Him to be my Lord. He's the boss. He's in charge. And when they say my God, when He says, this is my God, this is the one that is the I am for me. This is the one that encompasses my whole world. When He says my God, He's saying, this is my whole world. And then look on, He says, my strength. We talked about in class that sometimes, it gets hard. I told my class, I said, I deal with things, those thorns in my side like Paul. He said, I got a thorn in my side, and he asked God to remove it 3 times, and God said, listen, my strength is sufficient. Truth is, I told the class, I said, to tell you the truth, I got thorns in my side that I have asked God over and over again. God, I don't want to be like this. Please take this away from me. And I had to admit to the class that the reason I had those thorns in my side is because I thought I had to smell the roses. And I got over there and got too close, and I put the thorns in my side. And now I deal with things that I brought into my own heart. But I want you to see something here. My strength. The Lord is my strength. So quit telling me you can't do it, because I know you can't do it. What? Oh, you thought I was going to say something else. No, I know you can't do it. David couldn't do it. You think David was going to walk up to a, David is 5'3", 4, 5, something like that. Goliath is 9'8". You think he's going to walk up to him and go, yeah, let's go down? David knew. Listen to his own statement to Saul, to King Saul. He looks at him and he says, listen, God has delivered the bear. God has delivered the lion into my hand. This uncircumcised Philistine is no different than them. God will deliver him. I'm not going to fight him. Guys, you don't have the strength to overcome. But God says, I am your strength. When you ask David, how'd you do it? The Lord. The Lord is what? Now remember the title of this message. The Lord is? David said, the Lord is my strength. My strength. In whom I will trust. I will trust. My buckler. You know what buckler means? I'll give you. How many of y'all like Captain America? How many of y'all like a shield? Like blocks anything. Even the Hulk hit it, and it was like, boing. I want one of those. I don't believe that though. I mean the Hulk. But the Hulk, no, the shield. My buckler, my shield. You know what this means? If you look in the New Testament, it talks about the shield. The shield of faith, and it does what? It quenches all the fiery darts of the wicked one. In other words, when the enemy comes against you, what does he say? The Lord is my shield. When he shoots stuff at me and he tries to hit me and tries to attack me, how many of y'all ever been attacked by the enemy? Hey, let me tell you something. I've got a secret for you. You don't struggle and you don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against evils, and against powers in high places. All right? So when somebody's talking about you, or talking smack about you, or telling lies about you, guess what's going on? The enemy is pulled back and he's throwing an evil dart at you. Coach, he shot an evil flame at you. Somebody says something bad about you, Branson, or talking something that you know is a lie and you know is fake. Guess who that's from? That's not from those people. That's from the enemy. But at the same instance, I want you to see something. The Lord is my buckler. The Lord is my shield. And that shield will quench all those darts. I'll never forget that time that I was accused of beating up some teenagers. It would have just said minors. If it had come out in the paper, it would have said minors. A dog had been coming into my house for 3 months, had been chasing my kids, my grandkids, when they get on their little bikes and stuff and riding around the yard, they'd chase them down, and it just kept chasing them. And one day, it got after my wife coming in, she said, it's after the kids get it, like to pull the vent off the motorcycle. Said, you got to go get him. And I was like, So I got a pellet gun out, and I went out there, and I was going to just pepper his backside, get him out of my yard, maybe he'd finally leave. But when I went out, it had actually chased Bentley up on the deck of the pool area, and she just about went in the pool, but when it jumped to hit her, she stepped sideways, just thank the Lord. And I mean, it was middle of winter, and it went off inside the pool. And, and she went on, it was like, and as it was getting out of the pool, I shot it in the backside. And you want to talk about one of them fluke things. I guess they hit it right in the spinal cord, because it crippled the dog in its back end. He could not walk anymore at the back. It just was pulling its legs on. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I didn't mean to kill you. I didn't mean to hurt the dog that bad. I just wanted to scare it off. But because I crippled it, I felt like I had to put it down. That's just, I'm sorry. Y'all are hating me right now. I'm sorry. I didn't want to. I put the dog down. Well, I went over and I'd been told that it was a neighbor's dog. And I'd already been telling them about the dog and telling them about the dog, and they said, "It's not our dog, it's in the back of the front." So, "Well, you told me it was your dog." "Well, I was wrong, it's not mine." I said, "Well, I don't know whose it is." Well, a girl there, she had a boy that she had an infatuation with, and she knew whose dog it was. She went over and told those folks that I had been just hated dogs, and that I'd killed that dog just out of meanness. Well, this boy was 16 years old. Him and his 18-year-old buddy, which is kind of troublemakers, they come over to my house. And I just come in from church. And my daughter told me, what was going on. So before I even went home, I went by the law. I went by the police officer there, the sheriff in our town. And I told him, I said, what had happened, exactly what. He said, he had a BB gun by his front door. He said, "I know, I've shot that dog, trying to get it away from here. Takes my shoes off, hauls all my stuff off." He said, "I've peppered it a couple times here." I said, "Well, I didn't." He said, "I had to put it down because I crippled it." And he said, "That's all right, you have a right to defend your grandchildren and stuff, whatever." Well, these guys had worked themselves up. They come over here, and they jumped me at my front porch. I was the only one home. And I kept telling them, "You need to go talk to the police officer. You need to go talk to the police officer." And then they start threatening. Well, one of them come at me, and when he did, all I did was I grabbed him by his shirt, and I just kind of threw him to I just kind of one-armed him. But, he's little and I'm big, so it didn't work out very well. And I did that. He went about 5 or 6 feet over to the yard. Well, the other one come at me, and he was cussing me and telling me he was you better not touch me and stuff. And I just grabbed him by his shirt, and I put him over there with the other boy. And I said, "Listen, y'all just need to get out of here." And he started hollering, "Oh, you hit a minor, you hit a minor, you hit a minor." And I was like, "Boys, if I'd hit you, you neither one would be talking. I didn't hit you." But anyways, they go turn it into the police. Moms get involved. DAs get involved. And I just started passing there, Sonshine Fellowship. Hadn't been there very long at all, but God had already started moving. Church was growing. We had just gotten our sign. I was out there doing the sign. And Sister Loma, I know, remembers the whole story, but it was horrible. I was so scared because I thought, if this comes out in the paper, and I've got to point to this. If this comes out in the paper, all anybody's going to see is that I kill dogs and that I beat up minors. They're not going to ask any of this. The paper isn't going to say, "This is what happened," and he actually was defending himself, and they came at him. Now, it's not going to say any of that. It's just going to show, pastor, and they're going to be going, "Oh, the pastor over here, he beats up kids." Now, I want you to think about what the enemy was trying to do at that point. I want you to think about it. We have probably 3 to 4 times more kids in this church than any other church in heaven. I want you to think about it. 75 to 85. When we bought presents, we had about 85 presents for kids that go to church here. 85 presents. 85 kids. Now you tell me that wasn't the enemy trying to destroy all that right off the bat.
Amen.
Because he could have stopped all that really quick. Pastor beat up a youth. Oh, that really said well. I've said all that to say this. I trusted God. I was scared. I was worried because it's like, it's going to destroy the church. It's going to destroy everything God's doing. I know He's working here, but I didn't quit. I actually was still doing everything I needed to do. The day they called me from the DA and said, "Listen, the DA, you know what happened?" The DA calls me himself and says, "Mr. Harris," he said, "I want you to know that this case is closed and not another word will be ever said about it. I checked in on you, and I checked in on those boys." Ends up, those boys have been shooting dogs and cats all over town, and have been prosecuted quite a few times for causing trouble. But on the other hand, because I was like Brother David, I'm not saying I'm David's category, but I was like David, and I knew that my God was my strength. He was my buckler. He was my shield. And He quenched all those fiery darts the enemy was throwing at me. He said, "Listen, we did some checking up on you too. Everybody, we talked to 10 of the upstanding, or we talked to 10 of the head people in your community, that, people that are, leaders in the community. They said, you are an outstanding man, and there's no way you would ever hurt a child." He said, "That's it for us. And nothing will ever be said about this again." And in just a moment, Sister Sarah, all my fear just melted away. Why? Because God is my buckler.
Amen.
God is my shield. When people say things about you, trust God. Don't try to get even. Don't try to fix it yourself. Just trust God. You live for God, and I'll guarantee you, that is your shield. I want you to go on here. I'm getting someone with this. The horn of my salvation. And there's a bunch of different ways you can look at this. I've studied up on this one too. Some of them believe it's like a horn when they have a fight or a battle. That horn would sound. Doo-doo. Some of them say it was a horn of a beast, a great beast, you know, that you just get up. And I'll tell you the way I thought about it. Of course, I'm a country boy. Getting a hold of it. You know, we used to say it this way. Get the bull by the horns. My God gets the bull by the horns. And he says, listen, it's my salvation. God got a hold of me. He got the bull by the horns. I always tell Brother Bang, me and him have got a lot in common. We're like a bull in China huts, and we have to learn to tiptoe sometimes. And the Lord had to get a hold of me and said, listen, I'm your salvation. I want to look at the last part. My high tower. I want you to see something here. David said, listen, when things of this world start to come in on me, my God lifts me above all that. Why do I not get caught up in gossip? Think about this. Why do I not get caught up in gossip? Why do I not get caught up in when people start telling those dirty jokes? Why do I not laugh? Why do I not get it? Because my God is my high fortress, my high tower. God lifts me above all that, Sister Michaela. I don't have to sit down there in that mire and that filth and listen to the rest of what the rest of the world. Y'all believe that? Now, I've said all this to say this. This is how David answered the question. Here it comes, guys. Here's the message. The Lord is. What if I ask Brother Michael that? What if I ask Sister Loma that? What if I ask your Sister Leanne that? What's your answer going to be? Now, some of us could sit there and go, well, I just heard the scripture, and it's up there on the board, so I can go, the Lord is my rock. And some of y'all jump up and go, the Lord is my strength. When the truth is, when we go outside this building, a lot of us go, the Lord is not listening to me. The Lord is someone that doesn't care about my needs. The Lord is apparently so far away because He never hears what I'm talking about. He doesn't care about a thing I'm doing. The Lord is not listening to me. The Lord doesn't care about, what about my problems? What about, how to start this off? You can sit there and say, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. But if we were to ask the kids around you, if we were to ask friends around you, would they say that when they talk to you, they get the impression that the Lord is your strength? Or do they get the impression that the Lord's not listening to you? Do they get the impression that you believe God's able to heal? Or that the Lord doesn't care about your misery? The fact is, church folks fall into two categories, don't they? I didn't say all folks, I said church folks. Because some people would say, the Lord is just a prophet. The Lord is just a blight on mankind. I wish it had never happened. If you were talking to an atheist, that's probably what they'd say. But if you're in the church, folks are going to say, the Lord is. And out of one side of their mouth, they're going to say, the Lord is my strength. He is my shelter. I shall not want. God takes care of me. He leadeth me beside still waters. Amen? The Lord is. The Lord is. And then when we get out in the world and the bill collectors call, or the job gets lost, or the car doesn't work, or the tire's flat, Lord, are you even listening to me? We find ourselves being in another home that's not ours. We're not with our moms. We're not with our dads. Maybe our moms and dads are gone. And we go, the Lord is someone that just doesn't care about me. Guys, that's not true. Just because people say things about your mom or your dad, you know, the fact is they can sit there and say, Dad never plays ball with me. Dad never does this with me. Dad never does that with me. Mom never does this with me. Mom never has time for this. But you know, those kids don't see. You know what happened when I grew up? I grew up. And I realized the reason my mom didn't have time to play with me, because she had to have 3 jobs to feed those 3 kids. Mom didn't have time because she cared about me so much that she had to put her life on hold to do it. You know, I didn't see it. And the fact is, whether you see it or not, the Lord is love. And the Lord loves you. Whether you believe it or not, the Lord is your strength. Whether you believe it or not, the Lord can lift you up from where you're at. Whether you see it or not, He is your deliverer. I don't know why sometimes, well, I do know why. I don't want to tell it, but I do know why we end up in places. Same reason I ended up with those thorns that I got to fight with is because I wanted to get in there. Young and old alike in here, either we have or somebody in our family has wanted to do what they wanted to do instead of listening to God. Truth is, I know for a fact that I wouldn't have any broken homes and there wouldn't be any broken families in here if everybody and everybody's moms and dads had just listened to God from the beginning. If they had just been like David from the beginning and said, the Lord is my fortress. David, who is He? The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my deliverer. I'm going to raise my children up to know that the Lord is the fortress. The Lord is the high place. Guys, kids, David can look at his children. I want to look at my children. Guys, you know, to this day, when my children come to me and they're not children anymore. My oldest one just turned 36. But if she asks me and says, listen, I don't understand, Dad, why this happened. I can tell you this. The Lord is your shield. You don't have to live like this and you don't have to stay like this. The Lord can lift you up. There's higher heights and deeper depths with the Lord. How will you answer that question this morning? The Lord is what to me? Not listening. The Lord is not caring. The Lord is so distant. The Lord is so holy and I'm so unholy. How many of y'all ever feel that way? I feel that way quite often. The Lord's so much better than me. Why would He do for me? I don't deserve it. Deserving's never had anything to do with any of it. Amen. It has to do with love. The Lord is Lord. That's when it really starts sinking in, guys. When you start saying this and meaning it, what David was saying all together was the Lord is Lord. He's my Lord. Whether I go through valleys, whether I go from tops of the hills, just like Job, if they slay me, yet will I serve Him. I don't care what happens. The Lord is Lord. As we stand this morning, I want to ask you the question. The Lord is. Now I want you to realize something. How you answer that question in this world is how people see Jesus. Do people see God the way, you know, when I look at David's statement right there, and that's what that is in verse 2. This is what he would sing before God. He would say, the Lord is my rock. The Lord is my fortress. The Lord is my deliverer. The Lord is my strength. Listen, he had the weight of a kingdom on him. The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my healer. As the world looks at you, do they see Jesus as a deliverer? Out of your mouth, do they see Jesus as a deliverer? Or do they just see Him as something that's in a book? Because He's not very real to you. Because you can sit there and say, oh, we're going to church Sunday morning. We had such a good service Sunday morning. And then something wrong goes on in your life and you go, I just don't know why that happened. I didn't even, you know. And we start complaining, get bitter, hateful, spiteful. And people say the Lord is dead in them. Is that what's going to be when people look at you? I got to tell you the truth, guys. For a big part of my Christian walk, I think I walked through this world letting people think it was just a story in a book. That the Bible was just a good story to read and had some good things in it to live your life by. But I think as I've grown older, I've realized He's a lot more than that. He is my help. He is the one I lean on. He is the one I trust. I'm not going to trust in my own self. I'm not going to trust in my paycheck. I'm not going to trust in my abilities. And I tell you something you're going to find out as you get older. Your body's going to fail you. Your mind's going to fail you. People are going to fail you. The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my fortress. The Lord is my deliverer. The Lord is my salvation. So, Lord, what to you?